From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Russ Riesinger. A heated debate is taking place across the country as schools work on their plans to reopen amid the coronavirus pandemic. U.S. deaths from COVID-19 have climbed past 155,000, and more than 4.6 million Americans have been infected so far. The White House coordinator is now warning the pandemic has entered a new phase. Chris Martinez has more.
Community leaders and students came together in Los Angeles, urging the school board to listen to science and the event they decide to reopen schools for in-classroom learning.
This means increasing funding and supporting schools to open safely and not forcing Black and brown students back into our schools when it's not safe.
The demonstrations were part of a so-called National Day of Resistance taking place amid rising coronavirus cases in numerous cities.
It's not safe yet to come back into the classrooms. We don't want to see our students' families dying. We don't want to see our colleagues dying.
In Georgia's largest school district, around 260 employees have been excluded from work after testing positive or being exposed to COVID-19. The University of Kentucky has begun testing its 30,000 students for the virus as part of the school's reopening plan. Back in California, coronavirus hospitalizations in Los Angeles County have dropped in the last week, but the nation's top health experts say the pandemic has entered a new phase in rural areas.
To everybody who lives in a rural area, you are not immune or protected from this virus.
President Trump lashed out at Dr. Deborah Birx for the comment, calling her assessment of the virus pathetic on Twitter, and later saying this.
I told Dr. Birx I think we're doing very well. She's a person I have a lot of respect for. I think Nancy Pelosi's treated her very badly.
Officials across the country are moving to crack down on scenes like this one, where nearly 1,000 people attended a boat party in Illinois. Deputy sheriffs in New York City shut down a massive boat party over the weekend and arrested the boat owners for violating rules intended to slow the spread of COVID-19. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Today, the National Hockey League announced no positive COVID-19 tests during its first week of play. The CDC is citing a projection model that estimated more than 18,000 new coronavirus deaths nationwide over the next 3 weeks. We learned late this afternoon that the city of Billings is closing City Hall and the Billings Public Library temporarily after 3 city employees tested positive for COVID-19. It's not known where or when the 3 employees contracted the virus, but both facilities are being closed so that a deep cleaning can be completed. The 3 employees are currently under quarantine at home. City Hall will reopen at 7 a.m. Thursday, but will only be open Tuesdays and Thursdays until noon. That'll be through August 14th. Normal hours will resume on August 17th. The library won't reopen until August 17th, but curbside services will continue Monday through Friday. 3 more COVID-19 deaths are reported in Montana, along with 60 new cases. 1 death reported in Yellowstone County, the other 2 in Bighorn County. The death toll now stands at 64 in the state. Yellowstone County has the most active cases right now, 559. There have been 4,267 cases so far in the state, and of them, more than 2,600 people have now recovered. Officials tell Q2 that the Falling Star fire near Park City is 80% contained and crews will start to go home tomorrow. That fire was started by people. It's burned about 2,200 acres so far. Q2's Mitch Legge brings us more from Stillwater County officials. Mitch?
Firefighters are comfortable with the amount of progress that's been made on the Falling Star fire overnight and throughout the course of Monday. And it helped that they dodged a previously forecasted thunderstorm that was predicted to move through the area earlier this afternoon. The newest map counted about 2,200 acres of mostly private land that was burned by the fire. According to Stillwater County Disaster and Emergency Services, a few homes were scorched by the flames, but no structures were completely lost to the fire. About 300 homes in the area north of Park City were threatened, 100 of which were evacuated on Sunday. Residents were allowed back into their homes around 8 p.m. last night. 3 helicopters are helping to fight the blaze today, but Incident Command thinks that the fire is in good shape.
This was a human-caused fire, so please be very careful out in the tall grass, even though if you're out there working or driving around in whatever kind of vehicle, it is very dry out there, and please be careful.
Now, generally, the insurance company of a person who starts a wildfire can be held responsible for the financial cost of firefighting services. The investigation into who started this fire is being undertaken by the Yellowstone County Sheriffs. In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
Stillwater County officials released a map of the burned area earlier this evening. To view it, you can find Mitch's story on ktvq.com or the Q2 News app. All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. And Bob, we're seeing some pretty strong storms out there right now.
Yeah, I just got a phone call from Leon, one of our watchers in Laurel. Very heavy rain in that area right now. You can see here, we got an iCam shot. Look at the lightning strikes out there. Yeah, it's very impressive lightning-wise, and they're getting some very heavy rain in Laurel right now. As you can see, this thing is just moving in. Got a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain, and we did have reports of dime-size hail with this storm. It's moving towards the Billings area at about 20 miles per hour. Now, it does have anywhere from 40 to 60 mile-per-hour winds out of the storm, so it's an interesting storm here. And as you can see, there's got plenty of rain with it. It'll continue to march its way across the area. I'm looking for it to be in the Billings area probably very shortly within the next half hour or so, but it does have a lot of hail, and take a look at that. Look at the lightning in this thing and some heavy rain. So if you've been waiting for some showers, we got them coming in, but unfortunately, this one also has a lot of lightning with it. Well, back to you, Russ.
All right, thank you, Bob. Isaias is once again a hurricane as it churns toward the coast of the Carolinas. Tonight, nearly 120 million Americans are now in the storm's path, with warnings stretching from South Carolina all the way to Maine. That storm expected to make landfall around Myrtle Beach before ripping up the East Coast tomorrow, bringing with it as much as 6 inches of rain, flooding, power outages, and damaging winds. CBS's Chip Reed is on the North Carolina coast tonight.
Tonight, the Carolinas are bracing for impact. Isaias is just hours away. The dangerous storm lighting up the sky overnight with thousands of lightning bolts. Beneath the clouds, strong winds and high surf pounded the coasts of Florida and Georgia. But the bulk of the storm just swiped the coast of those two states and remained at sea. The Carolinas are not expected to be so lucky.
We're anticipating landfall on the North Carolina-South Carolina border tonight.
Drew Pearson is the Dare County, North Carolina Emergency Management Director.
What is the biggest concern?
Our biggest concern is storm surge. We have very low-lying areas. We've evacuated Hatteras Island down to our south.
And it's not just the coast. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper.
This storm will bring dangerous weather conditions to much of our state overnight. Heavy rains, flash floods, and storm surge can quickly inundate low-lying areas.
Chip Reed, CBS News.
Well, 3 hot air balloons crashed shortly after takeoff near Jackson Hole, Wyoming this morning, injuring more than a dozen people. According to multiple press reports, those balloons did not crash into each other and likely went down due to weather around 8:30 a.m. Mountain Radio reports 16 people were injured, one flown to a hospital in Idaho Falls. A witness told the radio station that he watched as one of the balloons with a large basket careened into the trees. A man on one of the balloons told the Jackson Hole News and Guide that it started out as a beautiful ride and then, quote, all hell broke loose. He said they were trying not to fall out of the balloon. The accident occurred about 2 miles south of Teton Village. The National Transportation Safety Board will lead the investigation. Well, back to school this year is a challenge both here in Montana and around the country. One big question that many school districts are dealing with is how to keep classes and students learning together even when they're apart. Q2's Krista Rose was in Laurel today to find out how they're effectively dealing with this issue.
At Laurel High School this morning, teachers got their first look at in-classroom software that will record their lessons live for students learning remotely.
Hopefully, this becomes a really cool part of teaching moving forward.
This new technology comes from Missoula-based Total Education Solutions in Technology Incorporated, or TEST Inc. for short. They've been helping schools in and around Montana for over 20 years incorporate new technologies into their classrooms. And this year, tech in schools is more sought after than ever before.
There's definitely a lot of demand. A lot of schools are looking for the different solutions. And so we're very busy right now, which is just educating and letting schools know what we have, and then, of course, installing as we're going along.
And what are they installing? Cameras and recording software. This technology was originally thought of to be a safeguard in the classroom in case of a medical emergency or dangerous situation.
The cameras are only about the size of a smoke detector, and what started out as a safety tool in the classroom is now turning into an effective education tool for students learning at home.
Well, the teacher will be wearing a mic because, one, even the students in the classroom will have difficulty hearing clearly the teacher, so they'll be wearing a mic. And at the same time, then they can have their video recording so they can have interaction with the students both in the classroom and at home. So therefore, the teacher only has to teach that lesson once. They would be also recording it, and so that if a student couldn't be there live, they could see the video later.
Superintendent Linda Filppula agrees and thinks that this will save teachers time and make learning more efficient for pupils studying remotely.
One of the challenges we had last spring was that teachers were kind of doing double duty, and students weren't on a schedule. Teachers were teaching way past the normal hours, and so this system allows a teacher to record their lesson.
While everyone wants to get back to learning together in one place, right now, for some, that's just not possible. This technology, however, could be the next best thing.
I don't see education going back to what it was, and so you really need to be looking forward. I think this is a great tool that provides flexibility for whatever situation we find ourselves in this year, but also moving forward. And I have every confidence in our teachers. They will take this tool, be innovative and creative.
Reporting in Laurel, Chris DeRose, MTN News.
Thanks, Chris. The first day for Laurel Public Schools is the 20th of this month, and if you'd like more information on Test Inc., you can log on to ktvq.com. The Montana Army National Guard is gearing up for a virtual esports tournament. The Guard is hosting the video games online on August 19th. The event begins at noon. It's open to all Montanans ages 17 through 34. The tournament will hold up to 50 teams of 2. Now, Sergeant Tucker Zimmerman is the host of the tournament and a member of the Montana Army National Guard esports team. He said they got the idea after seeing a similar event perform well on the East Coast.
They said it did really well on the streaming platform, got a lot of people interaction. I want to see that for Montana, of course. So we kind of started putting a competition together, and that's what we came up with. It might change a little bit here, depending on, we pushed it back to the 19th of August.
Registration for that event is now open. Still ahead on the MTN 9 o'clock news, a Bozeman woman behind bars after authorities had to rescue more than 60 animals from inside her home. But first, Bob McGuire is in with your full 7-day forecast.